This walkout song is that? Is that yours?
Yeah, it's mine.
Al, the last one.
I picked that one. Thank you, Al.
Yeah. Nice job.
Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon, Career Lab by Coach 360. I appreciate you coming out here. Welcome to this next panel's discussion inside the room, how hiring, promotion, and pay decisions actually happen. You know, I'm going to be direct here, and I'm joined by an esteemed panel of experts. To my left, we have Fonda Sproles and Rowdy Yates. To my left, we have Shay Kostabi and Adam Steele. I appreciate you coming out here and sharing your thoughts and insights with us. I'm going to be direct about what this panel is. It's a conversation that happens after the interview ends. What the candidate is out of the room and the leaders are comparing notes. What are they actually saying? The people sitting here have made real hiring decisions, real promotion decisions, and real compensation decisions. I asked them to come prepared to be honest, because the coaches in this room deserve to know what is actually going on, not the version that makes everyone feel good. So we're going to start with our first question. You know, I'm going to start, thank you for that. I'm going to start with some introductions, and I'm going to start off my left here.
Yes, our name is Fonda Sproles. So you might start the panel. Chief Scout for Lifetime, Career Brand Ambassador.
My name is Rowdy Yates. I'm the Executive Vice President of Fitness for EOS Fitness, and I've been with EOS since the beginning. So we started with 16 locations. We're at 172 as of today, with 8 more opening over the next 8 weeks. The next 14 days, next 2 weeks. But I started as a trainer 20 years ago. So fitness has been my passion, and I truly believe in the benefit that we provide, and personal training is my love.
Hi. Woo. My name is Shay Kostabi, and I am the co-founder, along with my husband, up here of Fit Karma. We are a creative brand consultancy for boutique fitness studios. We specialize in brand strategy, experience design, and talent development. Prior to having my own business, I have been a recruiter, a lead trainer, master trainer, regional manager, and a talent education director for many brands internationally, most notably Flywheel out of New York City, and a large company called Space Cycle out of Taiwan and China. And we support a lot of smaller businesses, helping them. One of the things that I do is actually help new businesses create the systems to successfully recruit, onboard, and train instructor teams. So that's the job that I do now. My previous experience is actually in performing arts and production and casting. So I have been the talent, I've been the trainer, I've been an instructor for 15 years, 18 years now. I teach at Lifetime, part-time, but I love coaching coaches and developing teams. So I've spent a lot of my time recognizing talent, developing leaders, and helping coaches like you, I like to say, rock the room they're in.
Hey, I thought we all got one second.
That's 30.
Hello there. My name is Adam Steele, and some of you probably have no idea what I'm doing up here. I'm a welder. I've also been in the fitness industry most of my life, and I started this little gym called the War House out in San Diego in 21, and it turned into an 8-figure business now. And so here we are. I will have the largest gym opening in a couple of months here in the state of Nevada, here in Las Vegas. I have a very unconventional past. I've been a defense contractor for years, prior military, several things like that. And I also have one of the highest profit margins in the fitness industry across the nation, proven. And so hopefully I'll be able to also lend some insight to these market titans. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Adam. I'm going to start our first question with Fonda here. Walk us through the last time you hired someone. What made that decision easy? But more importantly, what removed them from consideration? Not a resume mistake, but a behavior.
Okay, a couple questions there you got going on. Yes. When it comes to hiring someone, the last time was this morning. Actually, I'm out of the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, and so I'm in town. We've got clubs in Summerlin and in Green Valley. I hired a guy this morning on the floor. Is Harry still here? He's my ear. Oh, he is here, right here in his club, actually. And what happened was, I have a scout. My scout introduced me to a gentleman who's a member. Your top employees. Oftentimes, I don't like holding mic. I use my hands a lot when I speak, so this contains me, but I will be restrained. But oftentimes, your best employees is working out in your club. And while I was working out this morning, my scout came over to me and she said, E, there's a guy, Ben, you've got to meet. Ben has been a member here a long time. I told him 3 weeks ago, just walking past him, Ben, you should be a trainer. Ben happens to be retired. He's mature. He looks outstanding. He looks the part. So she said, just so happened a couple of days ago, he came back to me and he said, you know what? I thought about what you said. I'm ready. I'm ready. So just so happened I was in town today. I went over and I met Ben. And it was the conversation I had with him. And I'll get into what I look for a little later on. But from an EQ perspective, he was dialed in. He was spot on from an emotional intelligence standpoint because of his maturity. He believes in the product. He looks the product. He's a congenial. His soft skills were outstanding. And it was an easy decision for me to get him. Oh, also, he's not certified yet. So I'm paying for that. Said, if you're serious about it, I will take care of your certification. But you look outstanding, and our conversations led me more and more down the line that this guy could be a great fit for us. The second part of your question was?
What removes them? What behavior removes them from consideration?
There wasn't any, and maybe we'll talk about that later, just in general, things that turned me off from an interview perspective. And so it's the same things that turned me on. It's going to go back to soft skills. Eye contact, things you should have learned when you grew up with mom and dad at the end of the day. If you don't have it at this age, it's too late, just real talk. And so those people skills are essential and crucial for me.
So the biggest decision-making element for us whenever we're bringing somebody onto our team is their alignment with our core values and our core purpose. We identified those back in 2015. It's something that we talk about very regularly. And when we're looking at a candidate, skill set is important, but mindset is more important. We genuinely feel like we can develop a incoming coach to be better at things like programming or interpersonal skills or just business management as a whole. But if somebody doesn't embody our core values, namely like take personal responsibility, but really owning the fact that a client's results is it's your responsibility. And you have to find a way to get them to be inspired to make those changes daily that become lifestyle changes in order to accomplish their goals. And then also things like learn and grow. That's another one of our core values. And we believe that you have to have a growth mindset. We only know what we know today. We're in an ever-changing field. So to not be open to new concepts or ideas really limits the long-term growth. And that's just somebody who we don't know long-term would make it in our company.
I 100% agree with what both of you are saying. I'll share a story that echoes that. So I'm the guy you call when, as I said, you need to build the team and you need the systems. So I've got a client up in Napa, brand new studio. The founder is teaching all 30 classes a week. She cannot run her business. She needs a team and she needs a strong team. But there's not a big talent pool there. So we had to come up with a way to get the people that she needs. Internal training, but then we decided to hold a workshop where you could, a pre-audition and interview workshop. You could come meet the founders, learn about the brand, sample a class, meet each other. Leadership could observe these people in like a low pressure environment. And we found, so what makes a yes or is a no? The few people that came in with the most experience were the most resistant to this process. I could ask you, if you've been training, coaching for more than 5 years, and a brand new place open that you wanted the job at, would you show up for the workshop if you wanted the job? I hope you would if you're in this room. So when it came to interview and audition, the new instructors who had very little or zero experience knocked it out of the park because they understood what was expected of them. They were curious, they were coachable, they were adaptable, and they wanted that job, not a job. And the ones that had the most experience actually kind of bombed the interview audition process. And the one that made it into training was very, very hard to integrate. So the takeaway is you have to walk in the door knowing who you are and who you serve, and you got to do your due diligence and understand what the brand wants. But you also have to be like coachable and adaptable and like embrace the process because you can't skip the steps. Everybody that comes onto your team has to go through the same steps whether they've been coaching for 10 years or 10 minutes, because trainers talk, right? And when they get on the floor, they're like, oh, I got this, you got that. I didn't have to do that. And that breaks trust with your brand. So you want to look for a place that's going to pull you through that pipeline, and you want to embrace whatever that is, because the interview starts like way before the interview and the job starts way before the job.
So myself being an independent gym owner of a few locations, it's probably a different perspective because I've been bootstrapped as an entrepreneur. So I've had crazy amounts of interviews. So you guys, I've heard some of the wildest stuff, barring the words. But not to have fun with it, I have interviewed someone from each of their gyms at different times in different locations. And so seeing what needs to come from the door as an employee standpoint, if you're going to make a hiring decision, one, do they show up? Do they follow through? Can they write a resume, for God's sake? Because let's be honest, if we're starting, like, say, entry level in any position, it's not going to necessarily be a C-suite pay. Am I right? So you have to understand what it is. But the biggest thing, communication, the soft skills, are they hungry? 100%. That's the biggest thing. Mentality and talent is everything. If they are willing to learn and they're willing to be open, you can adapt to your culture, you can teach. They probably already have come here knowing something about your business, then they want to grow with you. That's what you want to see. And then, of course, the quick cues, like if this is not going to work, do they have a car? Like, can they get to work? Like, obviously, some of these things that you're going to need to fundamentally understand is like, okay, these are our quick passovers. Like, that's more practical, obviously, not going to be too anecdotal about it, but that really does happen. You know, can people actually make it to work? Do they want to work? Will they make it work no matter what? These are the things that I think are more tools of being helpful versus like a massive, bird's eye view from, a corporate level. Like, what are we dealing with at the table? So I know that when I'm in an interview, it doesn't need to take 20 minutes. It can take 2 if it's not there. Does that make sense? So hopefully that's a little bit more helpful.
Yeah, that's an excellent. And a number of our speakers talked about soft skills. And I know I've had conversations with Ifonda about hiring for service, hiring for that hospitality persona and casting. That's your word, casting. So I'm going to go off script and I'm going to ask you, how do you assess? How do you find? What questions do you ask to assess those soft skills?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry.
I don't ask any questions about soft skills. I observe them. I take them out to lunch. I do what's called the 3 C's: coffee, culture, connection. So for me, it's not about an interrogation. It's a conversation. At the end of the day, I want to disarm you. I want to make it as if we're just kicking it in a restaurant, but I'm interviewing all along. I'm watching. I'm looking at your people skills. How are you to the server? Are you congenial? Are you nice? Because if you're that way, guess what? And how you're probably going to act if you're with me. We are different and not better than anyone else. We're just different in this space. I think about our mission statement. So we started Lifetime. I've been with the founder 42 years. We had our Bally's clubs in the early 80s. And so he was able to finally start Lifetime in 1992. We wrote the mission statement in 1997. There was 18 of us. And we already had about 8 clubs in the Twin Cities that were called Lifetime. I was going to leave and open up the Chicago market in 2000. Another gentleman was going to leave in 1998 and open up the Michigan market. But before we left, Bahram said, the CEO, we need to write a mission statement. We need something that aligns us. That's our North Star. That mission statement gets us all rallied behind a cause so we can take the hill. What's the hill? My mission is to provide what? This entertaining, educational, friendly, and inviting experience of what? Of uncompromising quality that empowers everyone to live this healthy and happy life. I signed up to do that 30-something years ago, along with Bobby T. So 30-something years ago, and it's been a passion of mine to live out that mission. So that's the alignment that we look for. I don't ask questions. I like to observe. Also happens when you scout. I don't interview talent. I like to watch you when you don't know that you're being watched. Right? You think about athletes, you think about football coaches, you think about scouts that get a chance to go watch kids play football in high school or junior high. Now I can see how you really act when you score a touchdown. Are you selfish or are you about others? Do you share the ball or is it about you? A penalty is called against you. So those are things that can be observed. So that's my feedback on that.
I'd love to add on to that. In our interview process, we actually have some things that we have implemented that are not question based. Things like we'll put a piece of trash on the floor, or we'll ask the incoming interviewee to go out and meet 5 members and ask them for their goal. And what we're looking for is that individual looking to create a hospitable experience, right? Is fitness really a passion for them, that even stepping outside of their comfort zone is something they're willing to do because they know that if done, that means they have an opportunity to help change someone's life. So we're very intentional in identifying those types of behaviors. And from a hospitality standpoint, we're in the HVLP space, which originally was high volume, low price. And we were one of the first ones to embrace high value, low price. And we feel like while at a low price point, that means that much like a lifetime, right, very high value, we want to provide a very high hospitality experience, even though they are one of 13,000 members at that location. We still want to make them feel heard and feel like they're important, knowing their name as they check in, highs and goodbyes, congratulating them on their accomplishments along the way. You have to be very intentional with that. And as a recommendation for a book, there's a book, Unreasonable Hospitality, and it's written by a guy named Will Garada. And he's the general manager of 11 Madison Park. And I love that he knew what he wanted to accomplish, but his team created the system that they ended up becoming. So he was very intentional about you, my team, are going to be the ones who come up with the concepts that just create wow opportunities. And I think that's why it's stuck. And I think that's why it's going to be an unbreakable culture.
Phenomenal book.
Phenomenal.
book. There's a difference between service and hospitality.
You go ahead.
Okay. I literally gifted that book yesterday to somebody. Yeah. No, that's an amazing book. I've looked at a lot. You guys are awesome. Hello? Did I get it? Okay, sweet. And so some of the things, I think the check for initiative, the unintentional cues in an interview is huge, where you left the piece of trash on the floor. Seeing something when somebody comes in and they're hungry in the interview, and you kind of get that feeling of initiative right away. That's amazing. They followed up, they called, they wanted the job, all of those things. I'm a little bit more aggressive with not being, I like more human psychology more. And so I don't make them feel like disarmed. I like to make them a little bit more kind of uncomfortable. You're like show that you want to be here for the job. And so I'll ask questions like, are you too proud to clean a toilet? I'll just ask him right away and feel like I'm breaking this thing. Is it me? Is it me?
Better, buddy.
And so little things like that, because, in a small boutique gym, just like, mine used to be, things like that, like everybody helps. All of my staff are trained from front to back of house. And so when you come into a job, a lot of people, you're going to be dealing with their posturous egos and image. And so sometimes asking kind of fun, kind of pointed questions can kind of almost shock them a little bit, and how they handle that and the way they can communicate can be very powerful for a significant identifier of is this person going to be willing to learn? Are they willing to work? Do they want to grow? Obviously, they're coming to me, so I hope they know something about who I am, the culture, what we built here, and why. Not just what they might have heard about how we pay and some of the abilities to grow and scale, but are they willing to do the thing that is kind of the more difficult stuff? And a lot of those little kind of pointed questions can really disrupt someone's kind of social cue. And I think when you see how that is interpreted, that can be powerful in an interview, in my personal opinion. Yeah, but wonderful things with showing initiative and then getting the message across, having the standards, that's all huge. Yeah.
No notes.
We agree.
Well, let's hop to the next question. And I really want to get into this conversation about compensation. When is it time to ask for a promotion? When is it time to talk about more money, especially for the coaches in this room? So I'm going to start with Adam. Okay. And I'm going to ask you, as a coach, how do you recommend starting that conversation?
The asking for more money or where you start?
Both.
Okay.
Promotion and asking for more.
So promotion. So base obviously when hiring, and I'm not necessarily a personal trainer or coach per se, but a coach maybe in business and also leadership skills and different things across various platforms. The Warehouse Gym is actually one of my smaller businesses. And so when it comes to hiring, when you bring somebody on from the interview process, usually there is some sort of base market rate the corporation or the company might have. And usually you compare that with what's available in the market, so you know that you're not underpaying because you get what you pay for. This is an important part. okay? Because I pay my entire company across all the warehouse locations very different. My retention is different and my staffing is extremely different. So when it comes time, we have a base, we have a 30, 60, 90 training program. We have then a 6 months an annual program that I'd like to implement that we expect to show skills. All of this is broken down. So when you start working for us, you kind of know what you need to do. You are provided with all of the tools and you know where you're going. Outside of that, if there is a request being made, I would sit down, we'd have a peer review, and the best thing to ask for more money is knowing that you can do what is needed to earn it. And so as an employer, I'll lay out some structuring like, okay, maybe they want to take on more of a leadership role, but they're not there yet as far as they haven't done it. And that's it, but they would like to be. So I make sure that I have a very logical, laid out structure. Okay, I would like you to start working with one of our higher member staff that's in a leadership role. We'll teach you how to do X, Y, and Z. Show me you can do it. Show me you can show up and get the work done and that it's a good fit for you. You will then be able to take on that position with that pay, things like that. I make it very systematic so that no matter what, scaling with me in our businesses is possible. You know that you can. You're never going to be snuffed out by somebody. Like, you know, I hate to say it, but I've heard it more than once from some of the gyms in this room that they hit a ceiling and then they feel like they're getting jerked around, and that sucks. Like, I make sure, like, if you want to be here and you're proving yourself, that you have a root and a vertical. Does that make sense? Cool.
I love to hear that. My honest answer from a consultant's point of view is that the pipeline to promotion in our industry as a whole is kind of weak. Not with these guys, right? But everything that he just said is what you want to look for. You want to work for a company that has a plan for you, that has a route, and that's clear. Like, you shouldn't have to decode what it takes to get that promotion. But the other part of the question is asking. I've gotten every role I've ever had in this industry by asking and by showing up, advocating for myself. And something that you said, I really loved. You know, I really love it here. I want to grow. Like, what do I need to demonstrate to get that pay raise? What do I need to like, where can I be? Who can I shadow? What can I do? What are the markers for success? And then actually show up and do that. And then when you have that 6-month or annual review, which many places don't actually have, then you can sit down. And if the place that you're working doesn't have that, ask for that. Hey, I've been here for a year, and I'd like to have a conversation about my growth or my future here. The coaches that get what they want are the ones who have assigned like a number, or like they have that goal, like we talked about at the top of the day. They know what they want to make. They can attach value to that, and they ask for it. And the conversation doesn't mean you're going to get it. I think that's really important too. Sometimes it just means not right now, but the conversation has to happen. I've watched so many amazingly talented coaches grind and just expect to get noticed. And, you know, like I said, in the smaller clubs, they're building systems as they go, which can be really exciting because you can create your own role. But like in the bigger ones, even with a great system, there's a lot of people there. Like, so you have to show up and take ownership and advocate for yourself. Yeah, get noticed.
Rowdy, I see the ES boys over there taking notes really carefully, so I'm excited to hear from you.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, like Shay said, first you have to understand or know what do I need to make to live, but then what do I aspire to make? And one of the things that I commonly find, especially with newer coaches, is they haven't really identified that number, and then they haven't really looked at the compensation plan and understood, how do I go from X to Y and by when? And so we do monthly, what we call trainer success meetings. And part of that, you know, we were intentional not calling them business plans, because while it is part of us to understand is our business going to move forward, it's really for the individual to know, how do I get to the aspirations I have financially or within my career? And then our responsibility is, how do I help you get there? And so if it's something as simple as, well, going from trainer tier 1 to 2, and servicing the same amount of sessions takes you from this amount of income to this amount, then that's something that we can plan, with a smart plan. But then it could also be, well, or if I were looking to go into an assistant fitness manager role, PT manager, so forth and so on, we need to know that they have those aspirations, so that as they master the the coach role, we can start working on, okay, well, now can you develop that skill set in others, which is what puts you into an opportunity for a leadership role. And, while I'll say that our growth is the most challenging thing of working at EOS, it's also a blessing because the opportunities for those career paths are very present. It's just be vocal. Let your leader know that that's something that you aspire to do, and then work with them on the areas of opportunity that you have that you need to fill those voids in order to be confident and successful in that upcoming role.
First of all, at Lifetime, if you have to ask, it's too late. Shame on us. That's our fault if you have to ask. I say that because you should have your annual discussions, you should have your calibration meetings, and those things should be laid out immediately when you are onboarded. So it shouldn't happen, but in case if it does, yes, you want to make sure and have that conversation with your direct report. But that's ongoing. Our commission structure we pay the highest from a commission standpoint, 62 cents on the dollar. We do on average $400,000 a month in personal training, particular clubs here. We just opened 3 more clubs on the West Coast and having a robust start. So from a compensation standpoint, it's alive and well, and your ability to earn dollars are laid out in front of you. And again, if you have to ask, shame on us, we're not doing a great job at onboarding you and walking you through the process and having the quarterly and biannually conversations.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with you. So for a coach, what are the top myths or misconceptions coming out of an interview or even the interview process? What do coaches get wrong about how they are being assessed in that conversation?
That congeniality doesn't matter. Oftentimes when I'm in my club, and I will call out a trainer as I travel the country, and it's nice because all of them don't know who I am. I can walk past them a couple of times in the dressing room. Maybe the second time I'll say, hello, how you doing? I'll acknowledge them, I'll call them out. We're coached to always be congenial because the perception from the customers that the only time you talk to me is when you want to sell me personal training. We need to shift that. From a hospitality standpoint, we want to be hospitable. Everyone you want to say hello to, everyone you want to acknowledge. We have the 4-foot rule. So eye contact, hello, how you doing? Those things should be happening. So I think oftentimes that becomes a bigger deal in my conversation when we're doing the 3 C's as I'm observing congeniality, because again, I want to inspect what I expect. And so I'm going to sit while we're having the coffee and again, look for those skills. Are they congenial? What's intuitively coming to this individual? So that's a big deal that I think sometimes gets underrated. And also I think the importance, everyone's chasing the metrics now. I love that. I tell individuals, chase the experience, the metrics will follow. Chase the experience, the metrics will follow. Not the opposite. If you become where you're driving numbers all the time, guess what Mrs. Smith is going to feel? She's going to feel that it's only about the numbers to you. It's not about the relationship. Flip the script. Make it about the people. It has to be about the people. So that's the other, I think, misconception that I think oftentimes gets overlooked or underlooked.
I'll add to that. So I think one of the most common misconceptions is that the resume or certification count or current skill set is the only valuable thing being assessed during an interview, and it's not. Looking at things like who is this human sitting in front of me and how are they wired, what are their personal core values, and do they align with us as a company? But it's also not just the way that the questions are answered. We're looking at things, in fact, we'll ask our front desk to intentionally work or talk to a candidate as they come in, and at times be intentionally a few minutes late. And we just want to understand how do they interact with an existing team member as they're looking to join that team, because anybody can shine in an interview. But showing up and shining with every member interaction and team member interaction tells you who somebody truly is. And we want to see that, right? The other misconception, or I guess the thing that could be a deal breaker for us, is if a coach is, if they say something like, well, this is how I do it, that's fine. Open your own business. We don't know everything. I definitely don't. I would say less than most. But being willing to understand and take feedback and be kind of a chameleon really is what the adaptability is so critical in being a coach, because every single client that you work with is going to have a different starting point, a different desired end goal, a different way that they want to go about accomplishing it, a different commitment level. Your job is to get them there. So if this is how I do things, unfortunately, you will fall short in a lot of those situations, because that's not the adaptable approach required to be a highly successful coach.
Ooh, I love that so much. This is how I do things, right? On the flip side, what we've been talking about all day, and I said earlier, I can be anybody, I can train anybody, right? We just know, okay, if we don't, 6 months from now, we don't know if you're going to be happy. But I think, gosh, there was so much good stuff in there that you said that I want to riff off of. I think the thing I want to add is that leadership is not making decisions about you in a vacuum. It's not a talent competition. It's like roster construction and experience design. How do you fit into the team? Do we have somebody like you? What is your specialty? What does your contribution add value to the brand as a whole? Something you said. Do you have a car? Can you get here at the time that we need you on the floor? I've been passed over for jobs because I was overqualified or I just wasn't available at the time that they needed. It's not a bearing on your worth as a coach. Like if somebody says no, right? It's you can learn the skills. You can build your resume. It really is, keep calling them soft skills, but they're power skills. The thing that makes you powerful is who you are and what you bring to the table and the humanity that you bring into the spaces that we train people. So yes, you got to have the resume, but all of these little things really make a difference. And also things that aren't happening exactly in the interview that are happening within the business and the organization and how you fit in there. So don't always, if you get the no, don't always take it so personally. There's a place for you. Sometimes it's just like, not this seat, not right now. And you learn from every time that you step into that room and interview again.
All of that. You guys are amazing, by the way. Anything that I could probably contribute to that would be, I think I have the same scratchy microphone. Thank you so much. So what I guess to add to the value with all this amazing information is just that the biggest thing is like, don't be too proud. Like, can you do it? Are you willing to do it? Are you there for it? That's the biggest thing. Like one of the hangups, and I'm probably not the only person who's experienced this in this room, somebody coming to an interview and thinking that they're entitled to the job just because they have this degree or they worked at this place. That is the most annoying thing, because if you're not willing to learn and do the things that can adapt to the culture that you're there to be part of, then that just doesn't work. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure. And then on the hiring and asking side, those who do not ask shall not receive. But as long as the leadership is giving you the tools and the route, there's no problem as long as you're willing to do the work. And so that is the base thing. This is stuff. Yeah.
So we're going to close out with one final thought, and I want each panelist to give the room just your sentence on the thing that you have never said out loud in an interview or a performance review, but that you have thought about of a candidate or an employee. And the truth stays in this room. So I'm going to start with Shay.
I'm not allowed to curse.
I'm going to ask you to keep it raw and real.
Don't be a jerk. Like, just don't be a... Sometimes it's easier to bring someone on who has no experience because we don't have to untrain bad habits. So just, keep learning and keep asking questions and be so curious about yourself and others, and just don't be a jerk.
Oh, jeez. I'd probably say, I'm going to swear. Sorry. So keep it real and raw. Listening to somebody interviewing, and I literally thought to myself, I might have said it out loud. Are you fucking serious? Yeah, I was like, no, we're good. Have a good day. Yeah, that's pretty much, and that comes with anything. Again, adding value or not, like making sure that you're in the right place for the right reasons. You know what I mean? All of those things are important. The right mindset. Yeah, not having to unlearn bad skills because somebody shows up with so much pride and ego that they're not even there. I don't think they understand why they're there. You know what I mean? Some of it has blown my mind. But the biggest thing is like, are you willing to learn? And then do you have the tools to do so? Those are the most important things. Stay hungry and get after it, period.
Funny you said don't be a jerk. So when we did our core values back in 2015, the word wasn't jerk, but it almost made the list of don't be a something. It starts with an A. And so that's real. But this question is very hard for me to answer because it's what would you not say? And we believe one of our company anchors is that we're a feedback company. And that feedback is downline, laterally and upline. And we encourage it. In fact, we expect it. We even have courses that you go through on how to give feedback so that it's best received, because that is a skill set that you have to develop. So in an interview, if we feel that, we say it. Now we say it politely, but I feel like even if that candidate's not going to work for us, going to their next interview, having gotten that feedback is still my responsibility to help them learn and grow. So it gets said, but the only thing I'll add is that coaches by nature, the majority, you can't generalize everything, but coaches by nature typically came from like a competitive background. There's a lot of confidence, a little bit of ego. And the thing that I think we coach on the most is when the coach is sitting in front of us puts themselves before their client. That's just an absolute deal breaker. And that's feedback that has to be applied, because that is not the career for you until you make that paradigm shift.
I'm feeling something differently. So I'm going to go off script. Something is just on my heart. Guys, I've been doing this for 42 years. I love this industry. I love this industry and what I get to do, and I accidentally earn a living doing it. What's on my heart to share with you, some of you have seen before at some of the other functions that Coach 360 has had. This is an unbelievable, I would do this for free. So what I want to give you is this: think big, act small, move fast. Dr. Karate School of Business 101. Think big, act small, move fast. That's how we built Lifetime. Following your passion. We wanted to build a big club. Didn't have enough money to do that. Started with a small club in 1992, 40,000 square feet. He was thinking big. We had a 75,000 square foot club already on renderings. Had to make the smaller club work. So for 2 years, we had that one club in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. 42,000 square feet. We were all humping at it. Thought big, act small. When we started moving quickly, then we got the second location, then the third location. Now we've been blessed to have about 200 locations today. Our club averaged $65, $75 million each to build. We own our own construction company. Brahm designs them. We own our own marketing company. And when I think about the ecosystem that we're putting together, it's because we really want to see this space done differently. And those of you that have a passion for this industry, follow your heart. But think big, act small, get moving on some smaller things that you can do and move fast. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for doing that.
I am truly grateful for having the pleasure of leading this conversation. Thank you, Afonda. Thank you, Rowdy. Thank you, Shay. And thank you, Adam. Looking forward to having them on stage again. And I'm going to ask the audience to thank them for their time up here.
Thank you.